All right, everybody, welcome into the Beatin' the Bookie show. Today is Wednesday, November the 22nd. We are one day away. I guess it's Thanksgiving Eve. So we're one day away for some action-packed Thanksgiving full of football. And we're going to talk about some games that are going on tomorrow as well as through the weekend. And you're coming off a 13-0 free play run over on the Bluebird, or now X, I guess is what it's called.
X, baby.
Pretty crazy, dude. 13-0. Man, electric.
Yeah, it was a nice run. And the 14th play was Kansas over last night. And game started out so hot they couldn't miss for the first 10 minutes. And then Kansas just went ice cold.
It's like they forgot how to do anything, dude. It was nuts.
Surprising performance from Kansas, but I think it was just a fluke. So not really concerning from a Kansas standpoint. But yeah, it was a nice run. Lucky number 13. And hopefully we start a new streak. But it was a nice nice run for the free plays, nice run for last week's show for the plays. I said that Georgia would stuff Tennessee in the trash can, and we posted on TikTok, and the Tennessee fans on TikTok, they're relentless. They let us know that it was a trap game and no one comes into Neyland Stadium and comes out with a win like that. And what happened was Georgia, beat the crap out of them for the fourth straight trip there. So we also gave out the Arizona over, which hit. And then I said wrong team favored. Washington should be the favorite against Oregon State. People had other stuff to say about that as well on TikTok. Washington won as well. So it was a
great week last week for the show. Great
week for free plays, especially.
For sure, man. It's just, college basketball season starting off hot for you. NHL is continuing to be hot. I mean, it's just a great time. I feel very grateful to be a part of Team BTB right now. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's been, we went 10-3 last Saturday, college football. It's been a nice run. So hopefully, it just continues into these last 2 weeks of college football.
God, and it hurts my heart to hear you say that, man. 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks.
Then into bowl season. So we still got a ways to go. So a lot of NFL left too. So can't really complain.
Yep. Plenty to talk about this week. Let's go ahead and jump into it. This is rivalry week. I can never say that right. Anyways, week 13 in college football. Starting off Thursday night. Number 12 Ole Miss Rebels. They're 10-point favorites versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The total is set at 55.5. The Egg Bowl, baby. I will be in attendance. You can catch me on the 40-yard line on the visitor side, way up front. Catch me on TV, baby. We're going to hopefully get a nice victory. I don't know, though. This game's always, it's always competitive. Mississippi State, they got the interim coach, Greg Knox. He's got a four-wheeler in the locker room. I don't know if they're not afraid of, deadly gases that thing emits or what. But, man, he had them hyped up last week, and they beat the tar out of Southern Miss. And, they're hyped up. I mean, this is the last thing that Lane Kiffin wants.
Southern Miss is one of the worst teams, in the country. Like, they have zero defense at all.
They're ranked 119th on team rankings.
Southern Miss, their team total, I think, was actually 6.5 for that game, and they scored 20. So they started out with the lead in that game, actually. So I was surprised how bad Mississippi State's defense looked in that game. But look, Mississippi State this year, down year, right? It's terrible. Mike Leach died last year. He kind of made them relevant again. They fired the defense coordinator from last year. They fired him as head coach this year. Now they're looking for somebody new. To talk about Dan Mullen coming back to Starkville. I saw
Bring him back, baby.
It's a tough place to want to go coach at, right? There's probably not much to do there. Those cowbells are annoying as hell to listen to.
Should I wear these headphones to the game tomorrow?
If they have noise cancellation, probably. But I think we're just going here. I think that it's a rivalry game, yes, but I don't care if the coach drives an ATV, a Lambo, whatever he wants.
Clearly, the Rolls Royce and Lambos are working out in Colorado.
He could drive a tank in the locker room. I don't think it really matters. I think Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, they're too good for Mississippi State, so I think Ole Miss puts it on them. It might be close early, but I think Ole Miss puts it on them, and I like Ole Miss to cover it. I think 10 is too low, but it's a rivalry game, so I respect the spread, but I think Ole Miss definitely covers.
We're going to have beautiful weather, no rain. It's rained for the last 3 Egg Bowls, if I remember right, and it's sucked every year. 3 years ago, you had one of the most famous penalties ever called in college football. Penalty on everybody.
And then they had the peeing on the
Oh,
peeing in the
yeah, the
end zone.
dog peeing. Yeah, I was there for that one, dude. So the first one or the second one, the piss and the miss, dude. He hikes the leg. They back him up 15 yards, misses the winning field goal, and it was criminal, man. But there's always something crazy that happens in this game, and it's the only college football game on the slate. Everybody that's a college football game fan is watching it. I can't wait to be there. It's gonna be electric.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean, I think Brandon Walker will come away very disappointed from this. Yeah, they got bowl eligibility on the line, but it's just too bad for them. They're playing.
Oh, bowl
You
eligibility is on the line for them. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we can't let that happen.
and I haven't seen it from their offense this year. So I think Ole Miss does pretty much whatever they want. It all comes down to, can Ole Miss keep the turnovers to the minimum, and I think
Just play a consistent game.
I think they'll score at least 40 points against them. So can they just play good defense and keep the turnovers to a minimum? And I think Ole Miss has no problem.
Can't wait to watch it. Moving on, number 16, the Beavs, Oregon State. They're heading up to Oregon. Number 6 Ducks. Yeah, number 6 Ducks. 13.5-point favorites. Total 62.5. Man, Oregon is shredding people. Man, 6 touchdowns for Bo Nix in the first half last week. I don't see them slowing down a bit. They've got something to prove. They know they've got to win to get in and win big. Stay tuned, man. I think they're going to be ripping this weekend. What do you think?
Oregon is first of all, we have on my futures, we have Bo Nix to win Heisman 18-1. Who he's like the co-favorite right now with Jaden Daniels, who apparently when guys play really well but they lose games, people start feeling bad for them and they want to give them the Heisman. The way I look at the Heisman is like your team needs to have success for you to win. Like 3 losses should disqualify you, especially when you disappeared from the second half of a couple of games.
Right.
I think Bo Nix should be the favorite right now. And we have Oregon at 40-1 to win the playoffs and plus 550 just to make the playoffs. So I like the spot we're in. Basically, if they win, they're in. If they beat Oregon State, which they should, they play Washington for the Pac-12 championship. If they win that, they're in the playoff. And for me, Oregon has just been pounding teams ever since they played, lost that game to Washington, which they should have won.
I agree. I think they should have won it as well. But like you said, man,
they gave it away. And but it doesn't matter ultimately because everything they want is in front of them. If they win the rest of the games, they're in. And I think Oregon, they've been playing probably the best football in the country outside of Georgia. And they're probably 2A and 2B with Alabama right now. Those are the 3 best teams in the country, I think. And, Oregon State, Oregon State's had their best season in a few years this year. They play tough. DJU's been playing tough. Their defense is tough. They gave Washington a tough test last week. And they're a good team, but they're just not like Oregon level elite. And I think what hurts Oregon State's chances is Mario Cristobal is not on that sideline anymore. You've got Dan Lanning on the sideline who's this guy's relentless. He doesn't care if it's 42-0 in the first half. He's going to keep putting it on you, as we saw last week with Bo Nix, 6 touchdown passes first half. So I think Oregon's dead set on winning this thing. They're dead set on Bo Nix winning the Heisman, making the playoffs. So I like Oregon. I think Oregon takes care of business next week. So I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon won by 3 touchdowns, to be honest. But 13.5 I like, especially at Oregon.
Yeah, at Oregon, man. I love Oregon here. I think, like you said, man, they've got so much juice right now. I mean, Oregon State, they're not stopping it. I just don't think they've got the capability to stop it.
And they're not. And Washington didn't really play well last week either, and they still beat Oregon State. I mean, but Oregon State, they're having their best season in a while, right? But it's just
best season I can remember.
Yeah, and they're still great. They're a pretty good team this year, but there's just a level between Oregon State and Oregon right now. So Oregon is that upper tier, and Oregon State's below that. So I like Oregon to take care of business.
Love it. Moving on, the game of the week, allegedly. Number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Michigan. 3 points. Favorites, Michigan. Somehow, total set at 46.5. Michigan, man, I mean, talk about lackluster the past 2 weeks. I mean, they just look terrible. Now, I know they're not, they don't have a coach. They're out there just winning the game. But, wow, I mean, that matters this weekend. You need a coach that knows what the heck they're doing. What do you think?
Yeah, look, Michigan, the last few weeks, they've looked like pedestrian. I mean, Michigan, they haven't. Penn State is really the only team they've played all year that's decent, right? And the Penn State turns out to be like totally weak against good teams. So it's like Penn State hasn't beaten anybody, but Michigan beat Penn State, who hasn't beaten anybody. So does that mean Michigan really hasn't beaten anybody either? They really haven't been tested this season, right? They got tested last week. They were in a dogfight against Maryland, who had lost 4 or 5 in a row headed into that week.
No business being in a dogfight with Maryland.
No, and they didn't. And they scored a couple defensive touchdowns, which put them up in the lead. But Michigan, you look at their best wins, Penn State. Their second best win is Rutgers. So that really says all you can for their strength of schedule. Whereas Ohio State, they've been tested, right? They beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, right? They beat Penn State. They pretty much dominated Penn State, from opening kickoff on.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a test for them, I guess. I mean, they were in control of that game the whole time. I know it was slow pace, but they were in control.
And the Ohio State defense has been really good. I mean, really good the last couple months. And they got the young quarterback, but whenever he's in trouble, he can just depend on throwing it to Marvin Harrison, right? He can't be
cool
stopped.
Safety net to have.
He is, and they have some great receivers, great running backs. So I like Ohio State, just especially getting the points. I think they win it outright. JJ McCarthy has been very weak the last month. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass the last 3 games. He threw, I posted on Twitter, he absolutely torched Penn State for 60 yards passing. He threw 140 last week. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since October 21st, I believe, like over a month. And I watched last week against Maryland. He missed a couple of touchdown passes wide open that would have, ended the game, iced the game right there. He just couldn't make those passes. And it's the same thing with same thing as I said last year with Michigan. I just don't see the elite level play at quarterback. JJ McCarthy, a lot of people were on him like as a Heisman favorite this year. I don't see it. He doesn't have that huge arm. I don't really see them having like huge receivers that they can depend on to go up and catch a jump ball when they need to. Ohio State has all of that. Blake Corum is a great running back for them. So, and they have a good offensive line. That's a good starting point for Michigan. But, to win big games, to win playoffs, to win championships, you got to have a good quarterback. And I just don't see it from JJ McCarthy. So his stats speak all that I need to see the last few weeks. And they can say, yeah, they've been running the ball. But listen, if you have a Heisman contender quarterback, you're not running the ball for 40 straight times against anybody, right? You're going to let the kid throw. Obviously, they don't trust his arm. So, I just think that Ohio State is the better team, and I think Ohio State wins the game outright. So,
wrong team favorite. I agree. Moving on, NFL. Thanksgiving week. How fun. Some of these matchups just suck. That's why I'm laughing. Anyways, moving on. Commanders head to the Cowboys. Cowboys are 11-point favorites. Total set at 48.5. I mean, the Commanders, they're so hit or miss. They're going to score 20-plus points one week. They're going to score absolutely nothing the next week. Cowboys, they've been rolling, though. What are your thoughts?
We just saw the Commanders, 6 turnovers last week. They lost to the Giants, right? They let the New Jersey Guido.
After almost beating the Eagles.
They let the New Jersey Guido throw 2 touchdown passes, looked like an all-pro. Sam Howell, he looks so good sometimes, but then he throws the ball away. He throws too many bad interceptions, fumbles the ball. 6 turnovers at home, losing to the Giants. I mean, that's unacceptable loss. I mean, for me, I think that's just unacceptable. And then you got the Cowboys, who they're playing at home on Thanksgiving. Their defense is I think the one guy on the Cowboys has 4 interception return touchdowns this year. Cowboys secondary is very good. And Sam Howell,
good luck, buddy.
Sam Howell, the problem with Sam Howell is he plays one great game, then he plays one terrible game. He's very unpredictable. You never know when he's going to throw a pick or have 3 picks in a game, right? You just never know. So for me, I still think that the Commanders probably cover because 11 points is a lot. They could be up.
One of the biggest spreads we've seen this year.
The Cowboys could be up 17 points, right, with 2 minutes left, and then Howell drives them down for a garbage time touchdown to cover. So that kind of worries me right there. So I would lean the Commanders right here. I mean, I think the Cowboys have no trouble winning, but I would lean the Commanders for the plus 11 points, and I would probably take a look at the over because the Commanders' defense, they're not going to stop the Cowboys, and I think they could get into one of those back and forth games where Commanders get down 2 touchdowns and they're just throwing the ball, and they're either throwing for touchdowns or interceptions, and you're going to score off both of those. So I think I lean the over, but I lean the Commanders just because I think garbage time backdoor on Thanksgiving. I think it's very possible.
Yeah, the last thing you want. It's that last thing you want on Thanksgiving. Moving on, the Dolphins Black Friday action. They're 10-point favorites versus the Jets. Total set at 41.5. The Jets, what the heck's going on up there? Zach Wilson's not second string any longer. He is now third string. Just horrendous, man. He looks horrible out there on the field. I mean, they look terrible when he is commanding that offense. And I don't know what their fix is. I mean, they got hosed with the Aaron Rodgers injury for sure.
They did, and to Zach Wilson's credit, I don't think he's as bad as everyone really thinks he is. I think the offensive line is just so bad that this offensive line got Aaron Rodgers injured 5 plays into the season. They're not blocking for anybody. They have a lot of injuries up front, but they're not blocking for anybody. Zach Wilson, if you look at him play, he snaps the ball and he's running for his life right away. Right, any quarterback is going to struggle in that situation, and they're bringing in Tim Boyle, who
sounds like a killer, man. Tim Boyle.
Look, he's a preseason. When he was with the Packers, he was a preseason phenom. I mean, he tore preseason football up, but this is a little different. Dolphins defense has been very good. I think they held the Raiders to their least rush yards in 7 years, I think, last week. And the Dolphins, 4 turnovers against the Raiders last week, and they still won the game by a touchdown. And the Raiders had, so I think the Dolphins, their defense is clicking. Jalen Ramsey, 3 picks in 3 games off the injury.
He looks so good.
And they didn't even play well last week, and they put up 27. So I think the Dolphins win this game. But, going to New York, laying, 10 points on the road, that's kind of tough. And, I would lean to the Jets here plus 10, but I don't think I'm going to bet it. But if you were life or death, you have to make a bet right now, I'd be okay, Jets plus 10, right? So if I had to, I'd bet the Jets plus 10, but I'm not trying to, it's not going to be a play on my card.
Right.
So
I'll tell you, life or death, if I had to make a bet on this game, Garrett Wilson over receptions, because now I took this bet last week. Obviously, it lost because Zach Wilson can't hit the broadside of a barn. However, you bring Boyle in and he gets 3 targets and 5 passes.
Yeah.
Come on. Hammer it for next week.
Very true. But the thing is, he's going to be
It is the Dolphins defense. Yeah, great. Yeah, never mind.
Jalen Ramsey's going to be covering him.
He's going to be hawked out there, man.
And I think, Jalen Ramsey has shut down the 3 games. He shut down Devontae Adams last week. I mean, he shut down the Dolphins, with the limit Travis Kelce to 2 catches for 20 yards. So the Dolphins defense, the secondary, has done a very good job. And now if Xavier Howard covers him, he's going to fly over because Xavier Howard either gets burnt for a touchdown or he gives up a 40-yard pass interference penalty or a hold or something like that. But
sadly for Jets fans, it's 100% going to be Ramsey on Garrett Wilson because Garrett Wilson is all the Jets have.
Plus the Jets, they might want to take off, some of the pressure from Tim Boyle's shoulders and try to run the ball a little more. But could this be the game the Jets defense breaks? Because the Jets defense has been doing all they could to stay in these games, this season, and they haven't gotten any help. So, like I said, it's a tough game to bet on. One bet I will be taking definitely is Tyreek Hill over 88 yards or something like that. Whatever it'll be, 93 yards. It doesn't matter. He's going to have
something
over 100. Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown. Pretty much auto play. Raheem Mostert, he didn't score a touchdown last week, so I like him to score a touchdown this week.
And the other running back, A-Chain, injured again, right?
Yeah, but they said it was not really anything serious. They just held him out because it was the Raiders. So he's coming back this week probably. But I'm not going to bet him to come and score a touchdown this week off of an injury because you never know how they are going to be with playing time. But Mostert, Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown every week. That's pretty much an auto play. So I do like those 2 bets in this game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Tyreek is just electric, man. Automatic, too. Automatic. Moving on, Bills Head over to Philly for the Eagles, 3.5-point favorites. Total set at 48.5. What do you think?
I mean, it's like if the Bills play at their potential, they can cover, right? We've
But they
seen
have yet
it.
to do that somehow.
Yeah, look, they played great last week against the Jets. I mean, they finally got rolling last week against the Jets, and then uh, they had another injury last week again on defense. Another guy carted off the field, which seems like a weekly occurrence for the Bills defense. But the Bills found their offense last week, and Josh Allen got some confidence. So it's definitely tough to. I think I would, with the Eagles coming off that big win at KC, I think maybe the Eagles are due for a little letdown. It's like they got their Super Bowl revenge against the Chiefs. They didn't play very well at all last week, right? They played
Right.
they played very poorly Monday night, but they still got the W. And I liked the Eagles in that game. People told me I was dumb on Twitter, but I liked the Eagles in that game. They won. We got Jalen Hurts scored a touchdown last week, which won. We had the
Little
2 unit
push.
on Devonta Smith over 4.5 receptions. That one. This week, I'd probably, if I had to, I'd probably lean, the Bills plus 3.5. I do like that total, but just like, what time is the game at? Is this a prime time game?
Let me check real quick. I don't believe so, but knowing the NFL, no, it's a noon. But I'm pulling up real
Okay, so
quick.
every primetime game seems to go under.
So this is a 3:25 Sunday.
So 4:25 Eastern. So I would lean the Bills in this spot just because the Eagles are coming off that high. And the Bills know, the Eagles right now, they can take a week off. They can take 2 weeks off. But
Right.
the Bills got to win every game pretty much. They got to keep going, try to make the playoffs because they're 2 games behind the Dolphins.
It's so crazy to think about, isn't it? The Bills have to fight to make the playoffs.
The Dolphins beat the Jets on Friday. The Dolphins are in first place in the AFC, I believe. It's it's going to be a tough game. It's a very tough matchup because these teams, they don't really face each other often, right? The Eagles and the Bills, I don't really know how it's going to go. You don't really know which Josh Allen's going to show up, right? Like, you just don't know. I do think Joe Brady for the Bills calling plays, I think he's eager to show his worth, that he really deserves the full-time job for offensive coordinator. So I could see, the Bills, but if I had to bet it right now, I'd probably take the Bills plus 3.5. So that's why I'm, just because I think the Eagles, it's hard to come off that win and not be a little bit let down. Right. So I lean the Bills.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That was a huge win for them this past week. And how do you bounce from it? Classic letdown spot right here. I love it. I love it, man. I love this week of football that we got approaching us, man. We got all kinds of good stuff to watch. And tomorrow night, little
hockey.
Football.
We got 14 hockey plays tonight. Actually, we got
Why were there none yesterday? Why was there no games?
I'm not really sure. I think because they play today and then everyone has off tomorrow.
Okay. Because I pulled up the NHL schedule. I was like, all right, let's cook a little bit. No.
Tonight is actually we get the Bruins coming back to Panthers Sunrise Arena, and I'll be going to the game. I'm taking my daughter, so looking to get.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the most proud thing that I've worked on in my life is I love that video we made. It was so good.
If we win tonight, I'll retweet that. But I'm looking forward to some 14 hockey games tonight. I think we're at 108 and 77 on the hockey season, so we've been crushing it. But it's been great. College basketball has been great. We got a great day of games today going on, and really looking forward to getting into the holiday season because we have college basketball pretty much from sun up to sundown. So
it's so glorious.
And then bowl season is always, probably the best time of year. So just really looking forward to it. And we've got a lot of plays in front of us. So I hope everyone out there has a great Thanksgiving. I gave away a bunch of Walmart gift cards, $100 gift cards to people who couldn't afford groceries this year stuff. A lot of people emailed me. So it's been a nice Thanksgiving. I love giving back. And Thanksgiving's here tomorrow, guys. So enjoy it with your families. Enjoy some football, and let's cash some tickets.
Yep. Enjoy the family, enjoy football, cash some tickets. Man, that's a good exit right there. I like that. All right. We'll see y'all next week.